Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive, Monday, July 20th, dog days of summer, very much here. And we are going to, this is going to be a weird one, man. This is one of the weirder kind of situations we've ever had in the NFL. The Miami Dolphins are up first for us as they are the fourth most likely team in the AFC East by market odds. And they hold the distinction, Andy, of having $182 million in dead cap this season. If you are trying to do the math in your head, I'll do it for you. That's 60% of the cap is dead cap for them.
Makes it hard to compete.
They are paying more money to players not on the team than players who will take the field for the Dolphins this year.
Who's behind like the receivers in Tua? Is it?
I mean, it's
Minkah
probably.
Chubb, yeah.
There's a lot of money. There's 182 million is just an absolutely stupid number. It's a record. It's a record.
Let's do a quick
second.
Let's do a quick run back. We are sitting in middle of the season last year. The Jets are 0-7. Mm-hmm. I offer you even money. I say when we do previews.
Oh yeah,
July. How much would you like to bet that the Jets are the fourth choice in the East next year at even money? It is a reverse mortgage type situation. This is a truly they've done something to fall behind the Jets here. And yeah, like you said, when you have that much dead money, it's super hard to compete. This is really let's grin and bear it, get through this year, move on, see what some of this youth looks like. See what some of these, there's some cast-offs and some additions here and see what we can get. And obviously try to put together a better defense with a defensive-minded head coach. We're starting out with a new GM. We're starting out with basically from scratch all around, especially at the quarterback spot, which is a huge question mark. I think it's funny here. The too long didn't read for Miami and how you feel about Miami. Obviously, we do these. This is how we feel. This is how we are rating this team to start the season. Maybe lots. I'm going to change shit before we get to.
Oh yeah, for sure.
September.
I've already changed.
This is where I'm at right now. But I think if you're doing this exercise, and for anybody who maybe doesn't follow all these or is new to this, we find power number. We put together our power number, our power rating for each team to try to find a way to bet against them or on them in the market. And we do it by breaking it down unit by unit, putting some numbers to those, weighing it all together and coming up with a number relative to an average team. And man, there's leverage at 32 teams in the quarterback spot, obviously. But boy, this one, I think as far as your opinions, I think we can all agree how good certain quarterbacks are and where we're at on them. This one is, I think you're going to get a wide variety of opinions from the market, from people on where we're at quarterback-wise in Miami. And then my pushback on this one being one of the more leveragey ones is it going to matter because of the skill position group that they've put together around him for right now and, what we have for play calling coming into the season, because it's really a lot of mystery. This could be messy.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of want it to be like, hey, let's get a high draft pick again next year.
Oh yeah. That's very unclear if the goal is develop or compete or just, kind of play out the schedule and find out where you're picking in next year's draft. Presumably they're not in the quarterback market for next year's draft, even though it's going to be a good quarterback class apparently. Because they went out and signed Malik Willis. It was an interesting move at the time, and I guess kind of will shape a lot of how entertaining this team is this year if he can play. And the sample size is limited of his backup results from Green Bay, but the numbers were spectacular. Tough to say if that's repeatable, but you got to kind of, I think, put two and two together. This is the organization. The organizational turnover was bring in a bunch of guys from Green Bay. and they brought Willis with them. So they obviously think something, was good that was going there. I don't think they would have done it otherwise. And it doesn't look like there are huge holes on this roster. They know that. They've acknowledged it. They had him last year too. I mean, going into last year, Mike McDaniel was very clearly ready to get fired. It seemed like
some of his quotes from the preseason. Just we're all slowly marching towards death.
Sadly, he wasn't the first coach fired for my bankroll purposes, but he was eventually relieved of duty. I think they made the correct decision also to move on from GM Chris Greer. Who I believe was pretty. He organizational malpractice, digging them $182 million dead cap hit that they have to deal with this year. That's on his head.
He'd been there a decade, and really we just hadn't seen it. The highlight of his tenure was maybe the 70-point game, where it's like, oh, this could be a really fun offense, and then we just never really materialized into a team that was going to compete for real. As you mentioned, Jon-Eric Sullivan from Green Bay came down. He is your new GM. Hafley, the Green Bay defensive coordinator, is your new head coach. Bobby Slowik, calling plays, formerly of the fighting Houston Texans. Sean Duggan is the defensive coordinator, but Hafley will call the defense. And then Kevin Patullo from last week, guys. He is your passing game coordinator down here. He's the OC from Philly last year. And they did retain, I believe Chris Tabor was retained. That's still your special teams. Special teams is okay. So
it's a weird team. It's a weird situation. It's going to be a weird year for the Miami Dolphins. They are right now plus 3750 to win the AFC East. They are 12-1 to make the playoffs. So things are not, it's not going to be a bright, optimistic training camp down in South Florida. It's going to be a, hey, we're all just trying to make the team next year type of vibes, I think. A lot of those names you mentioned off the top are guys that probably weren't going to get any job anywhere else, frankly. Like some of their failures, the Slowiks and Patullos of the world were so spectacular that I'm almost surprised they're back in football.
Yeah.
And
that's the other, I think that's going to be polarizing for people who are trying to prognosticate how this team looks, or maybe you're just a fan of this team or you follow the NFL and you want to have opinions. Is Slowik had some success early. And, if some people want to lean on the fact that maybe that was just the quarterback lifting him rather than him lifting the quarterback, that's fine. I'm not 100%. I think that's a spectrum. I think he did some things right there to start out. I didn't love how they put together that offensive roster at times, although he had some pretty good players. So to fail there was maybe a little more damning than I'm putting into words right now. So, you're right. How you feel about, and that's one of our ratings is quarterback OC, and you have two massive question marks. So the floor is, hey, we win.
Oh yeah,
one game early at home against a better team because it's 150 degrees, and they just have a bad day, and then we split with the Jets, and then all season long we're hunting for that third win. And then the ceiling is Malik Willis is actually good. We got to see glimpses of that. Slowik maybe just needed a change of scenery. This defense overperforms with some of the young players because you have a defensive head coach, and this team wins 7 games. It's not an easy schedule. It's not an easy division, and the ceiling is still, I think, pretty low. I don't know if this is a, hey, let's bet on variance and take a long shot for them to make the playoffs. That seems like a really big step. Considering
when you see the schedule,
the schedule's not great.
That's gonna throw a little.
Well, that's the some of these long shot fourth place teams, you often get 20-1 to win.
Yeah, right.
It takes it takes an extraordinary hey, you're rated as a bottom 3 team, and you have 2 teams in your division that are essentially expected to go into the playoffs and maybe deep into the playoffs. That's, they'd both have to shit the bed and something amazing would have to happen. Like 40. What number would you take? 100 to 1?
I think
I'd need 70.
I'm just not really interested. The Dolphins and the Cardinals to me are both rostered like they're not going to compete this year.
Yeah,
and I don't. Yeah, and so I hope maybe there'll be some opportunities to bet on them if the market number right now is already lower than I came up with, and I was very, very hard on these guys as I was coming up with my fare.
I'm lower than you.
So the market is their market rating is what, -5 point something? Let me see what it is. -5.11. Sorry, that's the Jets. The Dolphins -5.92. So basically -6. They're spotting an average team a touchdown. How did we get here? They drafted Tua. Tua got a bunch of head injuries. He looked great throwing the ball to a peak Tyreek Hill on a rookie contract. They made the playoffs a couple times. They gave Tua a 4-year, $212 million contract extension in 2004. The team summarily quit on him in the early going of 2025. So not even a year and change into that deal. Either thanks to kind of the history of concussions and or the overrating his quality of play because he was throwing to, he was Tyreek Hill merchant. It was a bad mistake, and they're paying for it. Tua was drafted ahead of Justin Herbert and behind Joe Burrow, if I remember correctly. 5th overall pick. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's been a bit. It's been a minute now. And maybe that's, if you are a Miami fan, maybe that's the one thing to look forward to this year. You don't have to hold your breath. Yeah. Anytime you see a free rusher or the quarterback leaves the pocket, it's like, oh my God, am I going to see a man, die on the football field today because he's, and it's funny too. We should do a segment for that, people, because there's so many people that have opinions, and especially when you get fans, you get some pushback. Somebody was mad at us as portraying Jackson Dart as someone who had injuries, because it was he only actually was in the concussion protocol once. But it's like, did you know, fun fact, half of the games he played in, he was checked for a concussion. Wow. And honestly, truthfully, they've talked about this now. It's not the concussions that you get later on in life or later in your career. It's the
cumulative
multitude of less than pre-concussive hits. I think they call them subconcussive hits. That's what it is. And it was always like sketchy watching him. We still have to watch him play probably this year, and makes me nervous. But I'm a little more excited for the future, because God, maybe that's the offense. Hey, you're going to run the ball like 30 times, buddy. That's not happening, but
yeah. So, it's everybody who is culpable for this disaster is gone. The new general manager, Jon-Eric Sullivan, whatever his name is. I know very little about him. I was never really overwhelmingly impressed by the roster building in Green Bay. So him as a hire, as a decision, Ross kind of electing this path was a little bit of a, all right, in the offseason. Didn't you kind of get a little bit of a, what? Wonder why they're doing this.
It's funny that you compared this team to Arizona when you're talking about teams that aren't competing, because it has the same feeling, the vibes around the owner for me, where it's like,
sure,
hey, this guy likes to own a football team, but doesn't always like to put the money or effort into running it properly like a championship team would.
Yeah. So it
was been through some GMs lately.
A lot of this was weird, and this is going to be a very weird season for these guys. As they went into last year, even beyond just the bad vibes around McDaniel and his excitement for coaching, which was kind of a weird thing that he kind of fell apart like that. They decided to field a defense with no cornerbacks, which was weird. Their top cornerback last year was Storm Duck heading into he was their CB1 heading into the season. Just an atrocious performance in week 1 against the Colts, and then the rest was history. Basically, they had a couple of bright moments where they competed in the middle of the season.
The middle of the season was okay because they were 2-7. And they actually had a 4-game winning streak, I think, and then it just it fell apart again at the end of the year. The offense finished miles below where everybody thought it would be. Top heavy, expensive roster that didn't work out. Yep. The defense had flashes of, hey, this player's okay, this player's good, this player's well above average, but not all at the same time. There were some injuries, there were some in and outs, there were some moves, and a lot of moves in the offseason that have left the cupboard dry. I don't know do you want to rank the top 5 subtractions here for team players?
Well, I guess yeah, I mean, geez. 31-year-old Tyreek Hill tore his ACL week 4. Do I have that right? I think I do. They trade away Jaylen Waddle is gone. Yeah, I mean, you go for it. The biggest minus is where the quarterback and the 2 wide receivers who, that was your entire offense. Outside of De'Von Achane.
Yeah, Achane back. That's like your best offensive player, I suppose, by probably quite a bit.
By a lot.
Yeah, by a lot. Minkah Fitzpatrick out to the Jets after the homecoming. You bring in Malik Willis. You bring in Jalen Tolbert from the Cowboys. Where did you have Tolbert on that depth chart last year? He was kind of a 3-4 guy. He's
4.
Yeah, he's like he's your number 1 boundary guy right now. You have Tutu Atwell, free agent you brought in from the Rams.
Malik Washington's their top target, I think.
Yeah,
6th round pick
Tutu
in
Atwell's
2024.
Just a speed guy. Maybe take the top off a little. You brought in some edge rushers from Baltimore. You brought in some free agent cornerbacks. You brought in, at some point, Greg Dulcich is on this roster. And then a bunch of other depth. Charlie Heck, you need the rotational pieces there where you have some injuries probably coming in the preseason here. Some new kickers. It's been a big roster overhaul. And then obviously, as we mentioned, Tua gone, Tyreek gone, Gesicki gone. Achane re-signed. Got a nice little deal. He's very, very good. And they had a lot of draft picks. 13 picks they made in this draft. Kadyn Proctor, 12th overall. Huge freaking dude. 6'7", 350 plus. Looking like he's going to be your right guard to start out. Chris Johnson, cornerback in the first round. They had 2 first-round picks. I think we're going to talk about 5 first-round picks between the Jets and Dolphins today. He's starting because it's a torn-down secondary, and you need a guy. I think he's your number 1
He's your
cornerback.
CB1, yeah.
He's your CB1 as a late first-round pick because he has to be. You drafted a linebacker in the second round, Jacob Rodriguez, Texas Tech. Rangy guy. He's probably starting or at least rotating next to Jordan Brooks because
Brooks
they
is a
need
good player
somebody.
still.
Jordan Brooks is good, and it's going to be a coverage-heavy scheme for guys like that, and he's going to probably play. Chris Bell is a third-round wide receiver that's probably going to play eventually. He had an ACL tear last year, so he's not going to start right away. It's kind of a mid-season thing. He's starting the season on PUP, but somebody to watch for down the road because breaking in for a wide receiver is sometimes tough, less tough when the depth chart in front of you looks like this. Same thing goes for Caleb Douglas and Will Kaczmarek, who were taken in the third round as well. A couple more pass catchers. And then, I think they made 6-7 more picks after that in the 4th through 7th round. A lot of depth pieces. They got they had all that capital from the Waddle trade. So they're able to add a lot of depth. And it's kind of fun. You have a bunch of bites at the apple, per se, or so to say.
I liked all the guys they drafted. I didn't understand the selection because I feel like you needed a guy who was going to play right away at the wide receiver position.
That's weird. I think you can look at it from that way, but you can also look at it from we ain't winning this year. If we really liked what this guy did at Louisville, then let's take him here. And if he has that much upside once he's healthy, that's fine. We don't need to win games.
Mm-hmm. The top 3 players on their team from last year are still here. Also, it's worth noting. Aaron Brewer is a good center. They're paying him. De'Von Achane is a good running back. They're paying him. Jordan Brooks is only 28. I feel like he's been around for a long time, but he can play. Absolutely can play linebacker. Like you mentioned, like all those guys you rattled off, particularly the early round draft choices, Chris Johnson, Kadyn Proctor, and Jacob Rodriguez, I think are all potentially day one contributors in a good way. So yeah, I mean, like this could be a quick bounce rebuild if they go into next year's draft and get like an elite wide receiver or something.
This team could be described as plucky at some point during the season.
I'll call him plucky right now. They might be the dog that you want to take 7.5 points with week in, week out, because they're going to be dogs like that a lot. The general kind of holes are, you mentioned, you don't really have a very good wide receiver and tight end room. That's pretty obvious. Like this is a very, very, very poor pass catching unit. It's not clear if Malik Willis is a very strong passer. Most of his value add comes from his scrambling, where he is electric. When the pocket breaks down and he creates out of structure. One of the faster, quarterbacks in the NFL. He could ultimately do enough on his, with his legs that this is like a, possession, time of possession heavy team, time of possession heavy offense.
Well, and that's what I kind of alluded to that earlier. It might be a team that, hey, we're running 30 times a game. Doesn't matter if the game situation is, because we paid this running back. The quarterback's probably going to give us 6-7 carries. We have a backup, kind of a short yardage guy. We're going to run 30-40 times regardless, because I don't know if we can drop this kid back, 50 times every game. And it'll be interesting to see exactly what the scheme looks like. He's a Slowik's kind of Shanahan-ish tree, outside zone, a lot of play action, heavy motion. I guess kind of more of the same, but we'll see what it looks like from how we're using Achane in the passing game. I was talking to Noonan about him earlier. We were waiting for someone else to join a meeting, and said, like, you already have a slot guy in Washington, and honestly, Tutu can play some slot stuff if he's not going deep, but like Achane should be split out a bunch too. Like you kind of want him on the field all the time. If he's not a true 3 down back, if he's not in the backfield, he should be lining up outside too, because he's probably a better receiver at times than some of these guys. He's great with the ball in his hands. I mean, that was always the trademark for the last couple of years, is like all of these guys get the ball in their hands and let them do something.
And that's kind of where I'm disappointed at the decision making for the hiring, right? If you got a little bit more of a creative up and comer offensively,
a Mike McDaniel type.
With these kind of pieces, like it would be, it's like this is a non-traditional, kind of way to build an offensive roster. If you had a, kind of a bold thinker who was crafting up some funky stuff, it might be fun. I don't think Bobby Slowik mates that description in any way. So I'm this, it's like
it's a tough sell. We're gonna say this. We're gonna
have this same conversation in like an hour when we're talking about the Jets. Like, what were these fucking teams thinking? Yeah. Hiring these offensive players.
You get put in a weird spot when there's like 10 openings and you're clearly not one of the best
premier
ones. Yeah, you're not a premier spot, so you're not gonna go get Kubiak. It's a hard sell to go get him and bring him in. Some of the offensive coordinators that are like, hey,
I would have liked that better than Hafley.
Well, no, I would have loved it, but I just don't think he was coming here. It's like, hey, he had better options. He was getting courted, that's where you have to go find an offense you liked. One of the teams where you said, hey, this is a smart offense or a smart offensive head coach, and their offensive coordinator is getting, poached this year or next. We got to go like one spot down.
And
that's where you start taking some of those quarterback coaches or stuff like that. God, who's the Vikings quarterback coach? A couple people kicked the tires on him.
Yeah.
God, former quarterback. I can't think of his name. No. That he was a quarterback. Real chiseled jaw. I can't think of his name right now. But a couple teams kicked it. When you're not the premier spot, you got to dig a little deeper down in the roster and find somebody from a spot you want. And I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what Hafley does.
Okay. The whole hiring cycle last year was kind of drunk. I didn't really like what anyone really did.
Josh McCown.
Yeah.
There we go. Birdie has it. Josh McCown. Great job.
Right. Well, the roster is incomplete, although it has bright spots. The secondary is
Zach Sieler.
Zach Sieler is kind of a mystery to me. I don't know if he's overrated, underrated, or what. He's compensated, but
he's been here for a bit now. And same thing. I think you have some upside defensively. I'm more excited about the defensive upside.
Yeah, I have Sieler. I have as a plus player, but at age 30, I don't know that he's giving you much. What do you make? I don't know what to do with Chop Robinson. I don't know if he's getting any good.
Good upside. We'll see.
I don't know, man. He really did not contribute much last year. It was a weird year from him.
We talk about the connection between pass rush and secondary, and that probably made his job tougher. But at the same time, is that getting any better?
No, I think the pass rush looks weak to me, even though they made some investments. And to me, the secondary looks like a problem. So we'll see. Any other final thoughts about their offseason? I guess let's give Hafley a hot second here. What did he do in Green Bay that really opened your eyes as far as this guy we got to kick the tires on him as a head coach? I'm not seeing it.
I mean, they made improvements, but it was, again, they weren't in the running for some of the big names. I guess they just wanted. Who came first? Was it Sullivan or Hafley? Like, which one?
Sullivan, I think, first.
I feel like
they hired Jon-Eric Sullivan, and Sullivan brought Hafley.
Yeah, I wonder if that was part of the deal there too. But at the same time, first-time head coach like this, you probably get off a little cheaper. He's not an OC. I don't know if it was a money thing or what, but I mean, he made improvements in, what was it, 2 years? Was he only there 2 years after taking over for?
Yeah, he took over for a guy that was wildly underperforming. He had Micah Parsons last year for part of the year. I don't know, man. I'm not sure I really ever got a sense that he was head coach at Boston College for 3 years. Sorry, 4 years, 4 seasons at Boston College before moving to Packers DC, spent 2 years there. Packers defense last year was what, middle of the pack-ish EPA per play? Did you have them as a plus?
Joe Barry was his predecessor, and he is currently the run game coordinator and senior defensive assistant for the Miami Dolphins.
What? No, he's not. Really?
I thought I saw him. I saw him when I was way down on the. Yep, he is. He's like a third level coach, man. I mean, run game coordinator's high enough up there.
Hafley's Hafley. I think it's Hafley. Hafley's Green Bay Packers defense last year, Andy, finished 22nd in EPA per play. Barely ahead of the mighty Carolina Panthers. I guess good job. If we go back to 2024, he was the top 4 EPA per play, so it was a much better year from the Packers. I don't know, man. Defense is all about just who you played. And I never really got the sense that what he was doing schematically was game-changing stuff. So we'll see if it works out as a head coach. At least, he's got the head coaching experience from Boston College, so maybe he does have some executive
ACC powerhouse. Boston College.
Yeah. Anyway.
Ratings?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. As I mentioned, the toughest one probably is QBOC because I have very mixed feelings on both. I wanted to go real low, but until I see Malik Willis not look fun, I mean, that's maybe the best way to describe his time when he got some starts up there in Green Bay. And I mean, Green Bay saw something too, where they went and got him, said, we want this kid for our backup. They went and got him from Tennessee after obviously they weren't going to go forward with him. So I went with a 3.5 here.
I'm at 3.3.
The Slowik thing is, I think, like I mentioned, there's a low floor here too. But Willis's mobility and, I mean, some of the system fit and the fact that they can lean on the run a little helps him out. You know, that's a different skill position, but it's low. I don't know what the ceiling is here. Probably just above average, somewhere in the 55 percentile range.
Yep. Okay. So Malik Willis had 57 snaps last year.
It's not a lot.
No, it's not a lot. His EPA per play was absolutely ridiculously good, but you got to downgrade that for sample size. The previous year, he had 82 snaps. Is 82? Well, his receiver room in Green Bay was just okay. He wasn't even really there. I don't even think he was.
I think it's better than this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But he was his EPA per play the year prior with 82 snaps was also excellent. So it's like there's a 2-year teeny weeny sample that says this guy could be an above average quarterback. As more tape gets out there, does he have a ceiling? Are there limitations that we just haven't seen yet because he hasn't played enough? Or is he actually going to be kind of your long-term answer at quarterback? I think is really kind of the only thing that matters for the Dolphins this year. Like you want one thing out of this season if you are
find out what you got in him and
find out what you got with your QBOC. I'm starting out at a 3.3. I feel like the market is probably low on this now in terms of like kind of treating this as a bottom 3, bottom 5 quarterback situation. But I don't know. I think the mobility and small upside you see in the data is worth considering, and kind of putting him in that 33rd percentile range is right. Skill group, one of the worst in the NFL, actually the worst, I think, across my numbers. This was my last skill 32. I think it was. Let me double. Yes, 32 out of 32 here. Decent gap between them and Cleveland as the 31st for me. I gave them a 2.1. So basically a 20th percentile skill group. Wait, 2.1? Oh, no, 2.5.
I had a 2.6 written down here. But if you're a little lower, that's fine.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I had 2.6 also. My bad. I went off the chart. 2.6. Yeah, 2.6 for me. 26%.
A little higher, and I'm finding out the more and more time I spend with this, every team is such a unique situation that I can't use the same grading scale, where I did adjust more for like, hey, this team's probably just going to run the ball more. And as I mentioned when we were talking about some of the quarterbacks who bring that to the table, I said, I think I need to start putting in running quarterback exists and is successful at it a little bit into skill group. And that's kind of what I did here. I leaned more into Achane is taking a bigger slice of the pie than maybe some teams would be doing, or just they're running the ball more than other teams. So I don't have to downweight him as badly for this wide receiver / tight end core. So I'm at a 3.3, which still isn't clear of that many teams. I think there's only 3 teams below them. And, you do the Tyreek and Waddle subtraction. That's huge. As we mentioned, Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell, Malik Washington, Greg Dulcich, rookie Chris Bell coming in eventually. All that put together we'll see. But we know Achane is good. And if they can use him creatively, it can be okay. It's still, a bottom 5 skill position room, even with a very good running back.
Offensive line. I gave them this is a unit that has a couple bright spots, but a lot of youth, and I don't have Patrick Paul or Austin Jackson rated especially highly at the tackle positions. Jonah Savaiinea, am I saying that right? I think he was the worst. An extra syllable. I think he was the worst guard that played last year. He's very bad. He was a second round rookie last year. So I try to give those guys a little bump, like, hey, you're gonna improve a little, right? You can't be that bad. But yeah, I mean, he didn't grade out well. Patrick Paul was okay, as you mentioned. Aaron Brewer, very good center. You have a good anchor in one spot, but the results were very middling at best. I went with a 3.9. I'm a little higher just because. Did I say that right? But I can see it. So I said I'm a little higher. I went with a 3.9. I struggle with what to do with rookie linemen who are going to start from day one. And that's another project I kind of been working on in this offseason. How am I treating you mentioned this last week. How am I treating people who start on day one? And I think some of it is, well, are you starting next to a really good left tackle who's going to help you out? Or are you starting next to, not so much? And, that does change on some of the stuff. So I had to actually drag my number down a little based on where I'd started with, because it's like, hey, this guy still was a first round pick. We should get something out of him. And I think at this point, we're hoping he's just league average next to Patrick Paul. That'd be nice. Proctor,
right tackle is a
long-term guard, or is he going to eventually take over as tackle?
He's really big. I think maybe that's the plan, but right now everyone's kind of penciling him in as guard.
Okay.
And then you have left guard, I believe, next to Paul, and then Austin Jackson is working off an injury. We need some updates on that before we actually get into the season. There's probably a right tackle battle at some point. Could Charlie be if he's not. Yeah, if he's not 100%, that's why you bring in a guy like Charlie Heck to be a swing tackle and play for you there. But yeah, I'm a little higher than you, and I'm not married to that number.
All right, 30th in total. My Miami offense is 31st percentile. That makes them the 29th best offense in football. You want to guess who I have them ahead of? Just off the top of your
head? The Titans.
And?
The Browns.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Not by
That's
much,
where I'm at too. And and they're obviously close to the Raiders. Raiders, depending on how you want to make your number. It does sound like we're going to have to make a Kirk number for the Las Vegas Raiders to start the season. So defense.
Defense is a very, very tough one because, again, like there's clear incompletes for the pass rush and for at some pass rush positions and at the secondary. I went with a 3.8 for run stop, again, anchored largely on the fact that Jordan Brooks can play. I'm at 4.9 for pass rush. That feels optimistic as I look at the numbers. And then I'm at a 3.2 for coverage.
Okay, I went with a 3.6 for pass rush. Like you said, you're quite a bit higher than me there. Run stop, I'm at a 5. I actually think we can be a good, not great front. And then coverage, this is another one where we're varying a little. I'm at a 1.7 to start because I'm not gonna get excited about basically anything that happens here. I'll put the chart up. So
who's your worst defense? It's got to be close.
Right, it is right now a 34th percentile defense. It looks like the Cardinals and a couple other teams are going to be kind of close. The Jets are there. The Dolphins are who I'm talking about. And who else is there? The Commanders. We didn't have a very high rating on them. Depending on where we end up with the Bengals, they might be kind of close to this bottom bucket too. But yeah, it is a pretty low graded defense for me. I made special teams 6.5, you're 4.5. again, that's a super small part of the rating, so that makes the chart look a little funny. But again, the shapes are similar-ish, and I'm just kind of leaning on where I'm at with that coverage. I did use some of last year's stuff, even though a lot of those players aren't here, but you're starting a rookie corner, and he's supposed to be the strength. You're going to have to, in a weak link system, you're putting a guy out there in space. Number one, hey, you're our guy. You got Juju Brents on a short-term deal. You got a pretty young safety pairing, and Trader and Johnson. Minkah Fitzpatrick's not enough room anymore. Like it's a little inexperienced, a little thin, and even with some of the grades they give some of these players, I'm starting real low there. As I mentioned, the run stop, I think Brooks is a nice second level piece behind Sieler and Grant. He's just kind of a tackle machine. They should be okay versus the run. 5 is like, hey, 5's a good rating. That's one of the higher numbers you put. 5 means league average. That means you are dead nut in the middle. So one of our highest ratings was, hey, you're going to be absolutely average at run stop, and you're going to be excited about that. And then the pass rush stuff, I'd like to hear what you say, because you weren't sure on Chop Robinson. I think he's a big swing part of that number. If he can continue to be an ascending player, it can get to where you're saying him to be a middle of the pack pass rush. And some of the reclamation projects from Baltimore they brought in too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess I gotta defend my pass rush number or revise it down.
I think you do like Chop Robinson.
I guess I do.
You have to.
Yes, I need to figure out how I got there. Yeah, maybe
They were middle of the pack sack rate last year. Pass defense was 28th ranked. That was a problem that again drugged down what was happening up front. There was never a case for them to be like bottom quarter of the league, I don't think, with this front. It should be one of the strengths on the defense is the front two lines, but it's tough to say what we're going to get out of some of the additions. Uche, Ajabo, Chop Robinson. We'll kind of jury's out on exactly what kind of blitz packages. I guess we'll see with Hafley. It's more of a disguise stuff rather than just, hey, we're blitz heavy. Like, I mean, there are defensive coordinators that are just, hey, we're blitz heavy, and we're successful with it. This is more of a disguise cover or disguise pressure kind of thing, and you don't know who's going to get used in what spots, I guess, or who's going to get used the most and who's going to have their chances to make an impact in the game. So I'm at 3.6, which is I think that's
basically I don't have this as like a bad defense. I have it as a below average defense by a good amount. I'm like 40th percentile. But I'm definitely mentally struggling to tell who why these players warrant
and it's funny too.
Consideration. Good.
It's hard for me to not consider this double counting as well, because as I always say, if you have bad coverage, your pass rush is going to struggle because they won't have the time to get home. And if you have bad pass rush, your coverage is going to struggle because they're going to have to cover for longer periods of time. It's just, there's such a connection there. And I think that maybe that's why I'm lower on both, because I have big question marks across, both of those spots right now.
I had Kenneth Grant as on the upswing after a very bad start to his season. So I think I'm projecting him to take a meaningful step forward. And I like Zach Sieler a lot. I mean, not a lot, but like enough to think that with that as kind of your interior pass rush, that if you get anything out of Chop Robinson and Josh Uche, then this is an average unit.
Yeah, and that's where I have my run stop a little higher. I like those two plus Brooks. Special teams.
Yeah,
do we have, is it new right. Kicker, new kicker, new punter?
Yes. Bradley Pinion is now the punter. Zane Gonzalez is your likely kicker. Both from Atlanta?
I think so. I think they swapped kickers with Atlanta.
Huh.
some of the DVOA numbers were positive on them, on like punt coverage, kick coverage, some of those things. So I'm a little higher here, and my number is minus 5.3. So I'm actually a little lower than market.
I'm only minus 4.09, and yeah, I'm higher than market on this team, but not really running to bet it. I gotta think hard about how I'm coming up with my my pass rush numbers if we're this far off, and my coverage, I guess, actually too. I'm overrating a couple of things. I think here, defense should be lower.
And I mean, we'll take a look at the schedule here.
Yeah.
I don't think you combine. I mean, neither of us has rosy feelings of all the uncertainty here. And then you start with the schedule where, geez, you're favored once at home versus the Jets. Oof, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get the 4 or 5. The over under on the win total, the regular season win total is 4.5. And I've seen some people betting the under. I think Patrick in the comments already said he's on the under. You have
terrible start to the season.
You get Vegas, and you don't even get the benefit of letting your pass rush and defense go against a rookie. It's sounding like they're going to start Cousins a little bit to start the season, ease things in, and then at San Francisco, and those are both away games. You go away to start.
Yeah. Road from the West Coast too.
And then, but we get a game where we get to host a team in the heat of September, but it's the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It is the Chiefs. And then you go to play the Vikings in Minnesota.
Yuck.
And then you got home versus Burrow. So
yuck.
Unless Kyler stinks out loud and your easiest quarterback you're playing there is
Kirk Cousins.
Who's a pretty decent quarterback when he's healthy. So it is. And then you have an early bye, which I don't know if I love for a younger team or a team trying to gel and figure things out. Kind of disrupts what you're going at there, although that is a really big spot coming off the bye if you want to get a win or two, because there's a winnable game in East Rutherford, the home of FIFA football, playing them Jets. And then again, just a freaking nasty stretch. Home versus the Pats, home versus the Lions, at Indy, at Buffalo, your Jets game again. And then altitude, Denver, home versus the Bears, at Lambeau, home versus the Chargers.
Homecoming for all your Green Bay guys.
Yeah, you get the Green Bay thing, and then you close on the road at New England. So let's name all the things that we said could go right. Chop Robinson ascends. The young cornerback works out from day one. Willis is actually good. Slowik was getting held back, and Houston is actually calling good plays. This is a league average defense and a slightly below average offense. It's still awful hard to get to 5 wins.
Yeah, I don't see it.
It's just such a I'm just best case scenario for everything on this roster, and all of it works out. Like you parlay all of that together as the silly hidden gems type of parlay. I still don't know that there's enough spots where you can turn some of these games into coin flips.
You're a touchdown dog in 10 games. The season hasn't even started. Even if you do overachieve by a couple of points, you're still a meaningful dog in a lot of your games. This is bad. You're a double-digit dog 4 times. That's terrible.
I do see a sneaky win late in the season, perhaps.
Okay.
Against Tommy DeVito in Week 18, if the Patriots are resting players, like that's a spot, I guess. I think that's your best chance. You play Buffalo in New England. Maybe the playoff positioning's locked up, and people with under 4.5 have to sweat. But man, I'm not looking at a lot of spots. There's 0 primetime games, no real goofy travel spots. It's kind of a straightforward, hey, you're a shitty team playing a bunch of good teams schedule. Yeah.
A bunch of teams you're playing against also get a couple extra days to prepare for you. Travel is difficult. a lot of cold weather games in the back half of the season. Although if you're, a possession run heavy team, maybe you're more well equipped to handle the cold weather than teal teams in years past. But this is pretty terrible. Terrible outcome. 5 wins does feel like
it's the moon,
Yeah, somehow, some way, something has happened to other teams on your schedule who have lost their quarterback.
Charles, it's a miracle we didn't get a Dolphins Thursday night game. Maybe they'll flex one. I don't know.
Is there no prime time? Yeah, you said that there's no
prime time. Another weird little quirk, and this doesn't affect them because it's not like a team that's in the mix for anything, but all of their division games are in couplets. It's week 7 and 8, 11 and 12, and 17 and 18. So you play 2 division opponents in a row 3 times. I don't know that happens very often. That feels weird to me.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that is funny. All right. Well, if Josh Allen and Drake May both get hurt, you could have a 5-win season. Otherwise, I think you are. I mean, are you scouting elite pass rushers or elite wide receivers in college football? If you're a Miami Dolphins fan,
if you have the number 1 overall pick, I think you're trading.
Yeah,
somebody wants. But in that top 5, probably. Oh man, I'd want to get a haul, and then I'd want to trade. I'd want to trade back and then trade up as well, and take a really good defender, whether it's an edge rusher or a top corner again, and then also take another offensive lineman. And then I would just take 3 or 4 stabs at skill position again in
wide
the second,
receivers,
3rd, 4th round. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Just get quantity. Just try to find a puka.
What is the probability distribution for you get to the end of the season and you have figured out what you have in Willis, and B, you like it enough that's what your plan is going forward?
I think probably half the time it's either, hey, this is an incomplete because the rest of the roster is so bad and we got to give him another shot, or hey, this worked out. He was decent, and then I think half the time it's like, hey, in a bigger sample size against a team that, they can prepare for him every week. That's the other knock that actually has some credence when people make cases against Malik Willis. It's like, hey, this wasn't on their radar that we were going to face this quarterback. We were prepping over the last few weeks knowing we have Love coming up. And then,
also,
surprise.
I wonder how much of Malik Willis's excellence as a backup was it was LaFleur, kind of coming up with game plans that really surprised people.
Yeah. A couple people in the chat why wouldn't they still look at quarterback? If it's an utter failure of a season and Willis is clearly not going to be the guy, then you're not trading the pick. You're looking at, hey, are we taking that? And Jeremiah Smith would be fun. This Miami team hasn't had in a while, a fun, young star wide receiver.
Yeah. It'd be cool as hell. Okay. All right. Well,
betting odds. I mean, just real quick, as we mentioned, 4.5 is the win total pretty much everywhere. Juiced to the under. You can get plus 125 if you want an over there.
That's the other thing about the other bad thing about Willis, Andy, is that he's going to be in a negative game state in a lot of these games, so he's going to have to throw.
I kind of want to take his rushing yards over. If you want to bet on him positive, it's just guy ends up with 500 yards rushing.
Yeah.
I don't know what his total is. I'd have to see if that's even up. There's no real bets to be made on awards, obviously here, or as we mentioned, the AFC East is 40-1, Super Bowl's 350-1, which is a big one. Achane, you could bet overs on him if you think he's volume guy, but he's another one who's had some injuries here over the past year or two. And with a volume guy like that, you worry about that as well. So I don't love long-term bets that are, just minus 110, where there's a big tail to the downside like that, like an injury. So if you want to get squirrely with this team, I guess I'm not sure what the Chris Johnson Defensive Rookie of the Year. He has like 5 picks. I'm not sure there's a squirrely take here.
Okay. Not on either. Sad state of things. I wish they had done a different direction on the head coach hire and the offensive coordinator. And then I would be like, this is the kind of team that you will take the points with week in, week out. Although maybe there's like a good amount of like bet on them in the first half outside of a field goal. You know what I mean? In the portion of the game where their running can help them kind of stay in the game, but before they have to go to, throw the ball to get back to try to steal, which I don't think will work.
No. Charles asks, Dolphins to finish 4th in the division is -150. That's a hell of a price for someone to be dead last. It's tough. I'd have to run some numbers on my lower level stuff with the Jets, because I think that's your biggest risk. Even with injuries to May and Allen, it feels like those teams win 6-7 games, 7-8 games. I guess maybe not if the injuries are week 1, but man, a lot would have to go wrong for them not to finish in the basement. Basically how you feel about the Jets. You're making a parlay against the Jets as well.
Well, hold your breath because we're about to turn the page. Tiny final question for you. You think Tyreek Hill plays this year?
He's not on a team, so as of right now, if the season started today, he would not be playing. When was his injury? Week
5, week 4.
5? It felt early, so he's probably close to.
It was a bad one, though.
I know. I think someone would be foolish to not get. Odell Beckham's on a roster, man.
I know. That's kind of what I was wondering.
That's where, like, if he's looking like he's close to back, someone might kick the tires on him later in the summer. If it's still his rehab time is still pushed out a little bit.
I mean, Dolphins are paying him, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be like he's just out there. Like he just kind of parted ways. It's like we didn't re-sign him, or we're not extending him, or however it's going on. Man, it does feel like this is a move where a team that's a contender but not the contender is like, all right, he's out there. Let's get him on. So I don't know. We'll see. I doubt that he's able to overcome this kind of injury and be a meaningful contributor on a team off the bat.
32 season. Yeah,
that's the thing. These players that get signed late in the year. If he had, more like 14, 15 months to recover, maybe he can come back and do something.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on. Sad Dolphins, man.
Yeah, if you're a Dolphins fan, get excited for the future. And Ross is still the owner, but you have a nice stadium.
According to Kalshi, the Heat might get LeBron James.
I think nobody knows anything. I would go somewhere weird.
I think Miami is a weird call.